We're here, downtown Pontiac, and I want to talk to you about the local election right now that's happening in the city of Detroit. And I want to talk about how to discern the right candidate. We know that politics are the business of the people. We know that it's essential that when you talk about politics, that each person needs to understand, this is important, the fiscal matters. This is not a popularity contest. This is about political prowess. And there are several things that I would like to talk to you about. And if you're thinking, well, Pastor, you're sharing a lot of information, but this is new information to me. I need you to go slower. I need to really dive and dissect what you're saying. I want you to go over to 180 Church. We do something called Souls to the Polls. We will be there tomorrow at the church. We start at 6. We've been doing the stolen and lost asset tour. We've been doing that for the last 2 weeks. We have been going through the city of Detroit and raising awareness of the assets that many Detroiters don't even know belong to them, and how those assets were given to developers for pennies on the dollar, and how our resources, specifically CBG grants, which are community block grants that should have been given to local residents, and also ARPA funds were given to developers by our city council and the administration in order to price out black people. So think about how sinister that is. The dollars that should be coming to the community are being used to gentrify the community. Go to Souls on the Polls. You can look at that. Now, tomorrow we will be talking about election integrity. But before we dive into what we're doing tomorrow on Souls to the Polls on this Thanksgiving, I want to talk to you about how giving you the gift of knowledge. Pastors ought to feed their community with wisdom and knowledge. Pastors ought to feed the flock with knowledge. And I want to feed you right now with the knowledge as it pertains to municipal bonds. You can go on Souls of the Polls, look at Advocate Ramon Jackson. He has an amazing teaching on municipalities and municipal bonds. It's so important. So what is a municipal bond? Essentially, a municipal bond, it's a loan. It's a loan whereby the municipality can go and they can be able to ask for a loan. And typically, that municipality has revenue coming in, specifically the redistribution of state aid. That's the biggest, one of the largest revenue streams that each municipality receives. And let me just help you understand what that is. All of us pay for our taxes on our cars, our tags, our fees. When we pay those fees to the state, what they do is they give the city a huge quote unquote income tax check. And that state redistributable aid, that state aid should be used to reinvest in the community. But that state aid is not used to reinvest in the community. It's being used in order to put liens on the bonds that the administration and that the current city council and current administration has taken out on the people. So let me break this down. This is really important. Municipal bonds essentially says, here's a loan based on revenue, just like you would get a loan on your home, just like you would get a loan on a car. The car becomes the collateral, the home becomes the collateral. So it is with municipal bonds. The income that comes in from the tax dollars become the collateral. But in our state constitution, what it says is there is only a certain amount of money, a certain percentage that you can charge as it pertains to municipal bonds, because the state understood that municipalities were taking advantage of it. They weren't paying their debtors back, or those who were the bondholders. They weren't paying them back, or the people that gave the loan to the city, they weren't paying them back. So they said, listen, you only can give a certain amount of your revenue. There's only a certain amount. Let me give you an example. If you have a house right now that's valued at $100,000, you can't get a loan for $200,000, right? So it is. The revenue that comes into the city of Detroit has a certain limit to it. So the debt limit that the state requires for the city to go by, according to the Constitution, the city of Detroit is 5 times over that limit. So remember the house example, right? If you have a house that's valued at $100,000, and let's say you were to get a loan for $500,000, well, that's a huge problem. And if a person is running for city council and they cannot help you understand municipal bonds, they cannot help you understand the fiscal matters, they cannot help you understand the debt limit, they have no idea what's happening in terms of municipal bonds, because there's different types of bonds, right? You have bonds in which should be circulated to the community, and that has never happened in the city of Detroit. You also have bonds in which the city council can pass. You have bonds in which we vote on as a people. We need to understand that right now the city of Detroit is in dire need. And we need leaders, specifically in city council, that can be able to look with a fine-tooth comb regarding the fiscal matters. This is not a popularity contest. There are some people that are getting into the race for city council. They don't even understand what a profit and loss statement is. They've never ran a business before. They don't have the fiscal understanding of what it means to run a business. Remember, the city of Detroit and every municipality is a business. The mayor is the executive, the CEO, or you could say the king, right? In a sense. So it is. The city council is the board. And the job of the city council is to hold the administrator, right? In this example, the king or the mayor accountable, so that the people are not overtaxed, so that the people are not taken advantage of. For example, the water drainage fees in the city of Detroit, horrible. We know that it's not legal. And some people will say, well, it's in the city charter, and these things were never passed by the people. Can you imagine being charged because it rains? Can you imagine paying the city a tax because God allows it to rain, right? And those things are taking place. And what's happening is the city, they're actually taking houses and they're taking commercial buildings, right? They're even attempting to take churches, right? They're attempting to take my church right now because of water drainage fees. They take those fees go on a tax roll, and it is not fair, especially for a tax-exempt organization. This was happening way before Trump. This was happening way before anything we were doing politically. This is unjust. And if you're running for city council, or if you're supporting somebody for city council, and they don't understand these fiscal matters, they don't understand municipal bonds, they don't understand the city charter, and they don't understand the things that have happened in our city council in terms of the skullduggery and the malfeasance. Did you know that Malik Shelton and Raymond Jackson, they have the largest municipal bond case in the history of America, and they won? We will be posting that case that happened in 2022. It was August 2022. It was in Ingram Court. We will be sharing that with you here shortly, so you can be able to see the case and see that there are people in the city of Detroit that are advocates. Way before I ever got called into this, God already had a foundation of leaders. God already has a foundation of people that know what has been happening in the city of Detroit. And if you're running for city council, we will be asking you these questions. We will be holding you to account, making sure you understand what you're doing. Can you imagine a preacher picking up the Bible, reading scriptures, and not having any idea of the historical context, the cultural context, the grammatical context, and how to apply the scriptures in the people of God's life? So it is. There has been government malfeasance. There has been government malpractice, as it were, municipal malpractice. We don't want that to happen again. We're not going to allow it to happen again. So please, souls to the polls tomorrow, come. We are beginning to organize a march because of what's happened with the election integrity. We'll explain everything that took place with election integrity. We have a very strategic plan on what we're doing as a church and as a community to make sure that people understand what is taking place. We know that City of Detroit gave us a list with 195,000 people on it, but we know that Detroit also said that 246,303 people voted. So where did 50,000 people go? We care enough to count. We want people to know that Detroit, you have leaders that care enough to count. And we are going to make sure there is an extremely fair election for this local election, because local elections matter more. So I'm going to encourage you. Now, if a person also, let me say this, because I really want to focus on this city council piece, because people are running for city council. They have no idea what they're doing. People, they have no clue of what's taking place with the city council. They probably never read the state constitution, probably don't even know Detroit charter, have no idea, probably don't even know where the city council meetings are, probably don't even know what a city council does, right? Don't even know how to get the agenda, what's taking place. Listen, On this Thanksgiving, I want to bless you. If you're running for city council, you need to understand these matters because we will be asking you about these matters. We will make sure that our community has people that are not popular, but people that have character and competency. God bless you. May heaven smile upon you. Come to Souls in the Polls tomorrow. Share this with people so they can be able to be equipped so we can serve our community well. God bless.